Hi, welcome to the second lecture of the sociology series that we have started on YouTube. So, as I have already said, this video basically will deal with this topic of under the paper 1. There is this topic. The first part is obviously sociology, the discipline. And under that, you have 3 subparts, right? And the first one is modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. Right. So this again has 2 components in it. This is what we are going to deal today. First is modernity and social changes in Europe and the emergence of sociology. So the first thing that you have to understand here is that it was in 19th century that sociology as a subject was born. Sociology as a discipline was born. Right. So in 1830, Auguste Comte, he was the one who basically coined the term sociology, right? He coined the term sociology in 1830, right? And he defined sociology as the study of social phenomena, right? He defined sociology as the study of social phenomena. There were other scholars like Emile Durkheim. He basically said that sociology is a study of social institutions, right? And social institutions included institutions like family, like you have the education system, right? And you have marriage, etc., right? So this is what Emile Durkheim said, and Auguste Comte defined it as the study of social phenomena. Both of them, however, hailed it as a scientific study itself, right? Scientific study. So they were positivists, right? However, today we are not going into the debate of positivism and non-positivism. These both I just told you so that you have some idea about what is sociology and the definitions of 2 of the most important scholars of sociology, right? So now if we go into modernity and social changes in Europe, right? So we are going into that topic. What is modernity and social changes in Europe, right? So when sociology emerged, right? In the last class, we have seen that sociology emerged even when there were many other subjects, like there was political science, there was economy, there was philosophy, there was psychology. All these were already there even before sociology came in. Sociology is a very new subject in as much as it came in the 19th century, right? So what were the reasons for why sociology had to come out, right? What were the reasons for why sociology had to emerge, right? So this is where we are going to see the main importance of this heading is this only, that modernity and social changes in Europe. So this modernity and sociology social changes in Europe led to the emergence of sociology, right? So the and here basically connects them. Sorry if you can't say it. The and here basically connects modernity and social changes of Europe with the emergence of sociology, right? So this is how you understand a topic, right? So now let us see like what changes happened that sociology as a separate discipline came in. So there are 2 main changes for this in the 18th century that happened. The first one is the French Revolution and the second one is the Industrial Revolution, right? So French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. If you have been doing world history, you already know what French Revolution is and what International Revolution is. But assuming that you don't know anything and assuming that you're for the first time listening to this, French Revolution basically happened during the timeline of 1789 to 1799. So this was the time when French Revolution happened, right? And the reasons for that were many. First is the estate system. So you don't have to do a lot of French Revolution and Industrial Revolution in sociology. You just have to know that these were there and they form the base for the emergence of sociology. But just for you to know like what were the conditions then, I'm going to tell you this thing, right? So estate system was there. Estate system basically was like this. Okay, let's draw a triangle instead of a square, right? Right, so estate system basically was like this. There were three estates: the first estate, the second estate, and the third estate. Okay, parallelly you can see that caste system is similar like that. But however, this only I'm giving you as an example where you have Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. But there is no comparison between them because this was a complete different system, and this is a complete different system. But to draw an Indian parallel, I'm basically telling you this because we usually get easily understood by Indian parallel examples because we have been experiencing this in the day-to-day life, right? So here they had a estate system, right? So this is the estate system, and this estate system basically had three estates: the first estate, second estate, and the third estate. The first and the second estate, the first estate comprised of people who were close to the king. Okay, they were also called clergy. The second one was the nobility, those who hold the lands or those were the owners of the lands. And the third one were the common people, right? Common peasants. They also included businessmen because during that time businessmen did not have so much power, right? So this estate system, what was the main fault in the estate system is that first and the second estate did not have to pay any tax, no tax for them, right? But the third estate had to pay the whole tax, and this was discriminatory social practice that was going on during that time in the French part, right? So this was the first basic issue, right? For which the French Revolution came in. The second one was the French monarchy was not good, right? The French monarchy basically was very extravagant. Okay, they spent luxuriously, they did not know what was happening in the country, right? And the French monarch basically gave away so many funds to fund America during the wars, right? Fund America during the wars that they basically had nothing left. And due to that policy, there was inflation in the country, right? There was inflation in the country. The prices were very high. Obviously, when the inflation is high, the prices are high, and there was less supply. Right? There was less supply. People were not having food, and all this basically created a situation of unease in the French, right? And the third reason was the French monarchy was doing nothing for the people, It was just sitting and enjoying the privileges, right? So these were the three conditions that basically led to the emergence of French Revolution. Now coming to what happened after the French Revolution, right? So after the French Revolution, we see in that the monarchy was ruled out. There is no more monarchy, and there is a secular state that was formed. Secular state with three main fundamental principles of equality, liberty, and fraternity, right? Equality, liberty, and fraternity. So these are the three ideals that we have even taken from the French constitution into our own constitution. So these three were born. Okay, that is the French Revolution. Now second reason that we thought was of Industrial Revolution, right? So now let us see what happened in Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution happened in England, obviously, and for the first time it happened in England. After that it spread to many countries. So this was during 1760 to 1840s, right? So during this time there was a lot of machinery introduced, and there was a lot of mass production that was happening in the country. A lot of mass production was happening in the country. Mass production and introduction of machinery meant that people were now losing their jobs, right? Because machines replaced people, right? People losing jobs because machines replaced the people, right? Machines were now being used by the people or by the classes, and now people were losing their jobs, and there was a system of stratification that developed. Okay, what was the stratification system? For the first time, a stratified society which was exploitative in its details was created. So the first one, it had two classes, which we'll also read when we are reading Marx. Okay, when we are reading Marx, we'll read this in detail. But here you had factory owners, and then you had workers, right? Industrial workers and the industry owners, you can call them. So in Marxist terms, you also can call them as bourgeois and proletariat, right? So in Marxist terms, they are called this. So this is a stratified, class-based stratified system. And whoever owned the means of production, they were called factory owners, and whoever worked under the factory owners were called the workers or the proletariat, right? Bourgeois and the proletariat, right? So the first change was machinery. The second change was this stratification system. The third change was observed in the family relationships, right? Family relationships. Earlier, it was joint family everywhere, but now slowly everything turned into nuclear family, right? Nuclear families, right? The emotions have become less, the family values have started to go very less, and all this led to family disintegration also, right? Fourth one, because of the class system, right? Because of the class system, what ended up happening was the proletariat, right? Proletariat or the workers were mistreated. Workers were mistreated, right? And because of this, they were exploited, and the reasons for their exploitation were that they were not paid properly, and they did not have good living conditions, no good living conditions or working conditions as well. Living conditions or working conditions, they had to work in very horrific situations, right? So these were also not good. So all this, what did all this basically aim at? All of them basically started a revolution called the French Revolution on the one hand, where the monarchy, the estate system was a basic reason, and after this, what came in? We learned liberty, equality, and fraternity came in. Then Industrial Revolution caused a lot of changes, and few of them were stratified system. You had the development of exploitation. You had family disintegration, right? Family disintegration. Now, you see, the society started to change. Okay, so here you see these things brought changes in the society. And during that time, sociology wasn't there. Okay, when these things were happening, sociology wasn't there, right? So what were there? Political science was there. Now, can political science deal with these questions? It can basically deal with how political system is. It can deal with things like monarchy, democracy, etc. But what about these new things that came in? The new things like here we have seen, right? The new things like, where is it? Yeah, the liberty, equality, and fraternity. What about these? Political science was dealing with them, but then not completely, not holistically, right? Not holistically. Then you had other subjects again, and nothing was basically dealing with all of these, right? And during this time, the founding fathers of sociology, during that time, there were Auguste Comte, and you had Durkheim, and you had Karl Marx. All of them felt that we need a new discipline now. We need a new discipline to understand the changes, to understand the new changes that are happening in the society, and which haven't happened till now, because Industrial Revolution and French Revolution were new forces. They did not happen any time before. They were new forces, right? And when there are new forces, you need new discipline to understand. For example, let's say there is a maths problem, okay? Maths problem, right? If there is, a plus b, it is a plus b is a plus b, right? Or let us say 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, right? So you know this because you know addition, right? Now what if there is some new calculation in the world that emerged all of a sudden, right? Something like 6 star, something like this, a new calculation. How will you find the value of this? You need a new formula. You need a new formula for this. Okay, what can be the value of these stars? How do we ascertain this? For this, you need a new formula. And if maths is not able to provide that formula, what do? You shift to other subjects, right? And if there is no other subject which can teach this, then you basically go to a new subject, new subject development, right? A new subject will then be developed. So this is just an example. Please don't take it like, whoever is a maths lover, please don't take it like what is this new thing and all. It's just an example to make you understand better, right? So these new forces caused new changes, and these new changes needed a new discipline, right? New discipline, right? So all this basically led to the formation or the emergence of sociology, as many social founders like Comte, Auguste Comte, Emile Durkheim, Karl Marx, all of them felt that a new discipline was needed, and this is when we see the emergence of sociology as a discipline. However, remember, sociology as a discipline emerged in 1830. However, if you see the roots of sociology, right? So what is this roots here, right? So for example, let's take this is a tree, right? Today if you see a tree, it is like this, right? However, when you go deep in, you see that the roots were formed many years ago, right? The tree might have the last leaf might have come just last month, right? And this starting might have come 10 years back, right? 10 years back the starting might have come, the first stem essay. However, the roots go back maybe 20 years back, right? Maybe 20 years back. This is a small example for you to understand what is this root. In the same way, sociology, the new features of sociology are something that have been coming in the recent past. New features like, feminist sociology, etc. But 10 years back, you had not 10 years, but here if you can see 1830s, you had the emergence of sociology as a discipline. But some around 2000 years ago, you have the roots of sociology. Right? So now, coming to the second part of this thing, which is the emergence of sociology. Emergence of sociology from the roots. So that is why it is said that though sociology as a discipline was coined in 1830s or the 19th century, its social enquiries lie 2000 years ago. And to sum up all this, there is one simple flowchart. So the first thing is ancient Greek philosophies, which is 2000 years. Then you have dark ages, which is 5th to 15th centuries, right? This is dark ages. Then you have Renaissance. Okay, Renaissance. What is this? We'll do this. Just remember this so that it becomes easier in the next. You have this from 14th to 17th centuries. Then you have Enlightenment, the period of Enlightenment. This is from 17th to 18th century. And after this, we know what happened. After this, French Revolution and Industrial Revolution happened in the 18th century and 19th century also. And then you have sociology emergence in the 19th century. So this is a flowchart, and this is what we are going to study right now, right? Like how all this happened. If you understood this diagram, then you can easily frame an answer around this. You can draw this diagram as well in your answers, right? So ancient Greek philosophies. We'll start with ancient Greek philosophies. So if we start with ancient Greek philosophies, like I already said, the ancient Greek philosophers included who all? They included let's start with Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, right? Remember them as spa, because Socrates comes first. The Plato was a disciple of Socrates and Aristotle was a disciple of Plato. So these are the three ancient Greek philosophers. They wrote extensively on social issues, right? And they undertook detailed studies on all the social issues. So they wrote extensively on all the social issues during that time. In India also, the contemporaries, not exactly contemporaries, but you can say that philosophers were Buddha, and you had many others. Like in China, you had Confucius, right? In China, you had Confucius. right? Buddha in India, and China you had Confucius, right? So these both were there, and you had all these. So basically the only main theme running in all of this is they dealt with social issues, right? So they dealt with social issues. And next, the next period after this, as you can see in this diagram, the next period is the dark ages, right? So what happened in this dark ages? As the name itself says, during dark ages everything became dark, right? During this period of 4th to 14th century, 4th to 14th century, everything became dark. Matlab, what does this mean? What does everything becoming dark mean? That means people lost light. Not in real terms. Don't think that, sun stopped shining or the earth stopped rotating. This is not what I mean. It means that people lost light, means people lost knowledge. People were not questioning anything. They were just blindly following others. They were just doing things that were told. For example, in India, you can see this period also when the Britishers come in, right? And Indians don't say anything. They just follow Britishers. They think that Britishers were the good blood. They basically, Britishers advocate that, to change Indians is a white man's burden, and all these things, right? White man's burden, and all these things. But after this period, we see Raja Ramohan Roy coming in. Raja Ramohan Roy coming in. He establishes Brahma Samaj, and he advocates against sati, right? So this if you compare in the West, okay, this period is called the Dark Ages, where Indians were completely blinded and following just the Britishers. And this period when Raja Ramohan Roy comes in, and many other sabhas also form, no? Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj, and many others, right? You have the Justice League in the South and everything. All the social reform movements. Basically, in your modern history, you might be doing the social reform movements. So when this Raja Ramohan Roy period comes, this is called as the Indian Renaissance, right? It is called Indian Renaissance. In the same way, in the West also, in the West as in the France, European countries, you had this period called Dark Ages, where there was no light. People were all becoming blind. There was no knowledge. People were just not, using their mind to question things. They were just following things blindly. After the Dark Ages came the Renaissance. The Renaissance period basically was the one that started many beautiful things in the West, right? So for example, Renaissance, it's called Renaissance because the actual meaning is rebirth, right? So society was rebirth. Okay, first there was ancient Greek philosophers, Dark Ages, and now it is a rebirth of ancient Greek philosophers. Okay, not the philosophers as such, but then you have the period, yahan pe, in this period the society, the study was very good. There was intelligence, everything. The same thing was born again here, right? So the rebirth was happening here in the Renaissance period, right? So in this, basically there were many great figures, like Shakespeare was one. Shakespeare, he wrote many plays like Romeo Juliet, which we all know, Hamlet, etc. And all of this basically dealt with many common themes. Then you had Leonardo da Vinci. We know him for Leonardo da Vinci. We know him for what? We know him for the famous Mona Lisa painting, right? The beautiful girl, right? And then you have travelers like Vasco da Gama. And who's the other one? The other one is Columbus. So all these people were some of the important figures of the Renaissance period, and they were teaching a lot to the common people. That common people were again getting enlightened, right? So obviously the three main things that were taught during this period was humanism plus realism plus empiricism. So these three were the core ideas that were taught during this period. Humanism basically meant that human being is the center of everything. That is why there were many studies, many stories of Shakespeare on human feelings like love, jealousy, the life of kings as shown in Hamlet, etc. Then realism basically meant that the world was portrayed as what is. Okay, we studied in the first lecture also about what realism is. And then empiricism, the studies that were based on calculations. They were based on scientific studies. For example, a beautiful example here is that of Copernicus. He was a scientist who basically gave the heliocentric theory. What is heliocentric theory? That the sun was the center of he gave the heliocentric theory, Heliocentric theory, which means that the sun was the center of our universe. But many people didn't believe him, obviously, and he was ridiculed many times. But however, this theory is what is now being followed. So it was because he gave in this theory. So these were scientific calculations that people made during that time. During that time, other people believed that Earth was center of the universe. This was what? It was not realism. It was not empiricism. It was some imagination of the people. But realistic and empiristic evidences were provided by scientists like Copernicus. And there were other scientists too during that period. Right? After this, so this is the Renaissance period. Then after this, you had the Enlightenment period. And herein comes the role of many great scholars, like you have philosophers like Hobbes, John Locke, you have Adam Smith, a very great economist, who's also called the father of economics, and then you have Rousseau, right? You can see that these three people were the social contract theorists. If you are a political science student, you must have already been knowing what the social contract is. So social contract theorists, there were social contract theorists, these people, Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau. Right? This was a period of enlightenment that was happening, that these people again were started to spread ideas on different things. Right? So this was which stage? If we have seen this in the cycle, where is that cycle? Yeah. First ancient Greek over, Dark Ages over, Renaissance over, Enlightenment over, right? So in Enlightenment, basically what happened was these scholars basically started to spread ideas, liberal ideas, right? For example, it is often said, that without Rousseau's ideas being there would never been French Revolution. So Napoleon Bonaparte, I think you people know him, Napoleon Bonaparte. He basically said that if there was no Rousseau, there is no French Revolution. That means these people enlightened the people. Enlightenment meaning reason. Okay, reason. Matlab, if you do anything in your life, you need to have a reason for doing it. See, what is the reason for doing it? If you know the reason for doing it, then you're on the right tracks. Be it a wrong reason, right reason, that's a secondary thing. But if you have a reason for why you're doing it and not doing just because someone else did it, then you are enlightened. Okay, enlightenment basically is to have your own reason, to do everything with your own understanding of things, right? So Napoleon Bonaparte says that if there was no Rousseau, there is no French Revolution. And Rousseau served as a matchstick or as a gunpowder for French Revolution to happen. And this French Revolution along with Industrial Revolution, what leads to the emergence of sociology, right? So this is how sociology came in. So for your further, if you have to once again go back to the trajectory, you see first there was Dark Ages, then you had, what was the second step? The first step was AGP, the ancient Greek, then you had Dark Ages, then you had Renaissance, then you had Enlightenment. Out of Enlightenment and Enlightenment ideas, you have French Revolution plus Industrial Revolution. Then you have sociology coming in. So this is the timeline of the emergence of sociology. All this paved way. Though we say that this is the immediate cause, but these all paved way for this immediate cause, which further paved way for sociology, right? So this completes the topic of emergence of sociology, right? Emergence of sociology is done till now. I hope you understood the lecture and that it was pretty comprehensive and easy to understand. If you have any doubts, let me know in the comments, and I'll meet you in the third lecture again, wherein we'll discuss the next part of this paper 1 of UPSC Sociology paper. Thank you.